The Beginner's Guide to Friendship Bracelets is a collection of photo tutorials for beginners that will take you all the way from the basics to the more advanced stuff. It is now available for purchase worldwide anywhere you typically buy books, and there is also a direct link in the description. Hello, my name is Masha, and today I'm going to teach you how to make the Greek Wave Friendship Bracelet. This bracelet is perfect for the current challenge. I do challenges in every wrap-up video, and this time the challenge is to make a bracelet with only 2 colors. So if you want to, you can participate with this pattern. You need to make a bracelet, post it on Instagram with the hashtag Masha2colors, or you can also submit through Discord, the link to which is in the description. This bracelet is quite simple to make, but I wouldn't classify it as a beginner bracelet. I would definitely recommend that you get familiar with bracelet making as a whole, and maybe make a few beginner bracelets like the chevron and a couple of others before you jump into this one. I'll leave my beginner bracelet playlist in the description if you want to look at that, but if you feel ready, let's get into it. I'm going to be making a loop for this bracelet. I have a separate tutorial on basic loops, it'll be linked in the card and in the description, but you essentially just need to make a bunch of forward-backward knots with 1 string onto the entire bundle. I want my loop to be this teal color, so I'm going to be making 17 forward-backward knots onto the entire bundle. And 17 is just the number that I decided looks good for this bracelet. You can make however many knots you want. Once you're done making the knots, you should fold your loop and attach it to your workspace. I like to thread some strings through my loop like this and then attach it like so, and tape these strings down as well so that I can have some extra tension keeping my bracelet in place. Also, in all of my tutorials, this washi tape is just decorative. There's more tape behind and also on top. Now this next part is optional, but I think it works really well for this bracelet. I want to bring the 2 halves of the bracelet together before I start making the bracelet. And to do that, I'm going to be using something called a square knot. This type of knot isn't typically used in friendship bracelets, it's more of a macrame knot. I'm going to show you how to do it, but if you want more in-depth tutorials, I recommend just searching for square knot tutorials online in case this is going to be too confusing. You want to take a string off from either side that you're going to be making the knots with. I want the knot to be teal, so I'm taking the 2 teal strings off to the side. And then we put this left string over the strings in the middle, like so. This right string over the left string, under the strings in the middle, like so. And then under and through this loop here. Just like that. And then we tighten both of those strings and pull them up. That's 1/2 of the knot. We need to do it again, but opposite. But this time this string goes over the strings in the middle. The string on the left goes over this string, under the strings in the middle, like so. And then under and through this loop here. Like that. And then we tighten them again. And now our loop is connected and all of our strings are in the center. Now we're ready to create the triangle start. I'm going to be making a triangle start after a loop. I have a separate tutorial on triangle ends. I'll have that linked in the card and in the description. So I'll go a little bit faster here. All you really need to know is the string order, and that is super simple. Split up your strings by the color strings on the left, the white strings, plus 1 color string on the right. So on the left, you don't have to think about the string order because they're all the same color. Just bring them out one by one by doing forward knots on the bundle. And on the left, the first color is the color string and then all of the white strings, and we're going to be doing backward knots here. You will notice that it's a little bit uneven. The triangle start on the left is going to be shorter than the triangle start on the right, and that is fine. That is what we are doing. Forward knots 1 by 1 with each of the strings on the left on the bundle. And backward knots on the other side, starting with the color string. Now that we've done the triangle start, our strings are all in order and ready to start making the bracelet. The first 2 steps I'm going to show you are going to be unique to the beginning once we've just done the triangle start. Once you're going to get into the pattern and repeat the steps, this part that I'm going to show you now is actually going to be included in a previous step. So it's going to be a little bit different. I'll tell you what point you need to rewind to, and there's also going to be timestamps in the description to make repeating the pattern easier for you. So once you've made your triangle start, the first thing that we are going to do is focus on the 2 strings in the middle. These 2 color strings. They're going to do a knot between each other, and then this string on the left is going to do 3 more forward knots, followed by a forward backward knot. So this string in total does 4 forward knots, 1 on this teal string and 3 on white strings after it, and 1 forward backward knot. Let's do it. 4 forward knots, 1 forward backward knot, and we have this nice line of teal. We are once again going to focus on the teal strings, so all of the other strings are going to be put off to the side. We're just going to focus on the string in the middle here. All of the teal strings to the left of it are going to do a forward knot onto this teal string one by one, starting with the one that's closest to it, so the one closest to the center. This one does a forward knot onto the teal string in the middle. Then we grab the next one, and the next one also does a forward knot on that same string. Then we grab the next one, and that one does a forward knot on the same string. And finally, the last one also does a forward knot on this same string. Perfect. We are now ready to start the repeating pattern. Those are the only 2 steps that are different when you start the bracelet. The rest of this will be the point where you come back to repeat the bracelet. And again, there's timestamps in the description to make this easier for you to navigate. Now we are again focusing on the strings in the center. This time it's a white string and a teal string. And this white string in the center does 3 backward knots on this string and 2 after it, followed by a backward forward knot. The white string goes to the left, 3 backward knots, 1 backward forward knot. Now we have that line of white. Now again, focusing on the strings in the middle, a teal and a white string. The white string does 1 backward forward knot onto the teal string. And then another forward knot onto the white string after it. Next, we grab the 2 teal strings in the center. They should be right in between those 2 white knots. And we do a knot between them. I'm just going to do a forward knot since they're the same color. Now we focus on the teal string we just did a forward knot with, and the white string closest to it. The white string does a backward forward knot on the teal string. Let's quickly grab the teal string to the right, which is this one here, and it's going to do 2 backward knots on these 2 white strings. Then we go all the way to the left side here. There should be 4 color strings here. Grab the one that's closest to the white string on the left. And with this teal string, we're going to be doing 3 forward knots on the rest of the teal strings. If this happens to you, just like it happened to me, where a color popped through where it shouldn't have, if you look really closely, there's a bit of white sticking out from a knot that should be teal. Just locate that string that's popping through. For me, it's this white one, and gently pull on it. And then it should pop right back out, just like that. Now this is the most important step. I am working on 8 of these bracelets, and this is the part that I get wrong most frequently, so definitely pay attention to this step. Grab the 2 outermost white strings. If you're just starting this pattern following a triangle start like I am right now, we already made a knot between these 2 white strings when we were doing the triangle start. If you're watching this to repeat the pattern, we already made a knot between these 2 strings in a previous step. So either way, you don't need to make a knot between these 2 white strings. It's already been done. So put the outermost string off to the side. We don't need that one. We're going to be focusing on this string, the second one. And this is the part that I get wrong most frequently when I was making the 8 bracelets. You need to do, with this white string, 3 backward knots onto the rest of the white strings and 1 backward forward knot onto the color string. For some reason, when I get into the groove of making the backward knots here, I continue and I make a backward knot on this one again. But this one, very important, has to be a backward forward knot. The amount of times I've had to fix this mistake is ridiculous, so make sure to pay attention to this part. 3 backward knots, 1 backward forward knot on the color string. Perfect. When you do that backward forward knot, the color string goes to the left, the white string goes to the right. That is what we need. At this stage of the bracelet, we're trying to separate the colors. So one thing that you might notice, there is still a white string on the left. So let's focus on that one. As we're trying to separate the colors in this part of the pattern, we need to somehow bring this white string that's on the left to the right to join the white strings. And it's super simple. We just do 4 forward knots onto these teal strings. So 4 forward knots. There you go, the colors are now separate. If I am finishing the bracelet And this is the last wave that I want to do. This would be the part of the pattern where I'm making a triangle end. Since the bracelet is already in a nice triangle shape, it is the perfect place to do that triangle end. And again, I have a separate tutorial on triangle ends, which will be linked in the card and in the description, which goes into more detail. But essentially, on the right side, starting with the 2 outermost strings, do a forward knot between them, then the next one does a forward knot on the bundle, next one does a forward knot on the bundle, and so on until all of the strings are in the center. Same thing on the left side, starting with the 2 outermost strings, you do a backward knot, next one does a backward knot on the bundle, next one on the bundle, and so on until the strings are in the center. If that didn't make sense, again, a full tutorial is available, but this would be the point where I make a triangle end. If we're not making a triangle end, we still have a little bit to go. The hard part is over, but there's still just a little bit to get us back to that beginning stage. Let's focus on the white side first. This part is quite simple. We start with the string on the outermost side and we do a row of backward knots until we run out of white strings. So this string all the way to the left in backward knots. Once that's done, you grab the next string that becomes the outermost string and do a row of backward knots as well, moving it to the left. I'm going to demonstrate in a second, I'm just trying to show you what we're doing. Then this becomes the outermost string and it does a row of backward knots and so on until you run out of strings. So basically a bunch of backward knots until you run out of strings. There you go, that divider part is done. We can now do pretty much the same thing on the left side. There is one key difference on the left side, however. We go a little bit further with the first string. So first, let's separate 2 of the white strings on the right side, put them off to the side. We don't need them. This first teal string that is on the outermost edge is going to do forward knots along all of these strings, except the last one here. It's going to do a forward backward knot on this one. 8 forward knots, 1 forward backward knot. So this first string goes a little bit further because that's that beginning of that wave here. Don't forget that the last string is a forward backward knot. And now we can separate those white and teal strings as well and just focus on the teal strings on the left. At this point, we're going to be doing something pretty much exactly the same as what we're doing there, but to the right in forward knots. So again, the outermost string does 4 forward knots, gets brought into the center. This one now becomes the outermost string, does 3 forward knots, gets brought into the center. This one is now the outermost string, does 2 forward knots, gets brought into the center. And finally, we do 1 forward knot and we're done. Let's do all of that one by one. And there we go, the strings are now back in the same order that you need to continue this bracelet. Rewind to the beginning of the tutorial, there's timestamps in the description to make it easy for you to do. Make the wave in the center, continue the bracelet, and as I mentioned before, this would be the point where I would finish the bracelet with a triangle end. I'm gonna go finish this bracelet off camera and I'll see you once I'm done. And these are the bracelets. I absolutely love them. That said, I'm probably never gonna make this pattern ever again. Making 8 bracelets was ridiculous. But these turned out so, so beautifully. I also think the ties look really cool as well because I separated them by color with the white and the color ties separately. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll try to answer as many as I can. And as I mentioned before, this bracelet is perfect for the challenge that is currently happening. If you want to participate in the challenge that I do for my wrap-up videos, you need to make any 2-colored bracelet pattern, which this is perfect for. Make a bracelet, post it to Instagram with the hashtag MashaKnots2colors, or upload it to the Discord server. I can't wait to see your bracelets. Big thank you to my patrons and especially my top supporters. It is with your support that I'm able to create the videos that I do here. If you'd also like to become a patron and support the work that I do here, the link to that is in the description. My book, The Beginner's Guide to Friendship Bracelets, is also now out. It is a photo tutorial book aimed at beginners. It takes you all the way from the basics to the more advanced stuff. But in any case, I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I can't wait to see your bracelets, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!